Well, sitting up here, there's nothing more wonderful than to be able to see this room fully packed, and I know it's keeping some of my reluctant speakers here maybe more anxious than they need to be. So the session we're jumping into is called 2 + 2 = 22. We do know math. And then it's further titled Catalytic Collaborations. So I thought I'd be the woman dictionary and deconstruct some of these words for you. I'm not sure where the 2 + 2 = 22 is not a definition, but it's obviously about magnifying. But catalytic, when I looked it up, is the causing or accelerating of a chemical change, let's replace that with a social change, by the addition of a catalyst or an enzyme or something that doesn't necessarily change. Okay? A catalytic, then collaboration. Traitorous cooperation with an enemy. No, we're not using that definition. 2 or more people or organizations working together to realize or achieve something successful. The exciting panelist that we have here is really because as an enlightened giver, I think you first start giving and then you start realizing in your journey that it's actually difficult to solve a lot of the problems on our own. And it's a real privilege to have the 3 of you as our enlightened givers on stage be willing to share your journey through your own giving. And you know, where has collaboration actually played a role? And I hope to make myself invisible after this opening and allow for Archana to get us started.
Thank you, Neera, and I think that dig about anxiousness was meant for me. This is clearly, I'm way out of my comfort zone, but let's give it a try. Anyway, so in 2011, the government did a census to see how many people in this country are mentally challenged, and the number they came up with is 2%. 2% translates into 2.4 crore people in this country. That actually means 2 in every 100. So I don't think mental disability or intellectually challenged is a condition that we can wish away. Having said that, I'd like to introduce Vakeel, which is the not-for-profit that I currently run. Vakeel is a 72-year-old organization that works with the mentally challenged. How easily and nonchalantly I said 72, right? If you think about it, that's actually older than Indian independence. Yes, and we have 700 mentally challenged students on campus every single day. So my journey at Vakeel began nearly 10 years ago when I started volunteering with them, and I worked very closely with Mrs. Shroff, who was from the founding family and running the institute at that time. 3 years ago, in 2013, actually, she passed away, and I became the default succession plan. I like to use the word default because I would have never seen myself in that space 5 years ago. Anyway, what we realized then when we took stock of where we were was that over the years, our growth had been extremely organic, and we were trying to be everything to everybody, which, as you all know, is not a sustainable model. So we went back to the drawing board and said, so what is Vakeel trying to solve for? What are our core competencies? And we came back and we said, healthcare, education, skill development, and some support services. We then took a hard look at all the services we were currently offering, and anything that was not aligned to these 4, we took a conscious decision to wind down or close. Therein came our first set of collaborations, right? Because we reached out and looked for people or partners who were very good in the spaces that we were winding down, and we collaborated or partnered with them with great success. Classic case in point would probably be, we closed down the laboratory and we tied up with Metropolis and Neogen to do our blood work. At the same time, we realized that, we've been around for 72 years. We've assessed so many children over the years. We have mountains and mountains of data, but it's all in the physical form. Data doesn't speak to us. So what do? So we went to Edelweiss. Vidya's not here at the moment, but I have her permission to say so. We went to Edelweiss and said, look, we need to build a healthy, robust MIS system Can you collaborate with us? And they did. So we partnered with Edelgive, but it was the Edelwise employees that actually gave off their time for free, or pro bono as they call it, to help us build this MIS. And I think we were the first not-for-profit that Edelwise and Edelgive partnered with, where there was no money exchange, but it was just collaboration through the employees giving of their time and their skill sets. Fantastic, because we began the year 2017 with a super rocking MIS, which is helping us track every single child and therefore the impact that we're making on them. The second space that we've been collaborating with exceedingly well is, I think, in the space of people in general. I'd like to break that down into 3 spaces. The first one is, of course, the paid employees, if you will. The second is volunteers. We have almost 33% of our senior leadership team is volunteers, including myself. And the third category would be volunteers who bring a very specific expertise to the table. Let me give you an example over here. We have a gentleman by the name of Sandeep Bhandarkar, who has about 20 years experience in the space of finance and IT. Sandeep has been coming to Vakeel every week for the last 2 years. And he has been understanding the process and system requirements at our end so that we could build that MIS at Edelweiss or through Edelweiss. We have lots of other examples like that in the space where specific skill sets are brought in by specific people whom I truly believe that if I had to pay for their services, we probably couldn't afford them. And the third place that we've been doing collaboration with is funding, right? Lifeline of any NGO. In this space, 44% of the Vakeel funding comes from the government, and it has been for the last 55 years, right? 37% of our funding comes from CSR and other trusts, and 10% is from individuals. This mix, or this collaborative funding, if you may, is actually what has made Vakeel so sustainable over so many years. I think it would be impossible for us to have lasted for so long without this kind of a collaboration. This has also helped me understand and learn that if you want to do anything sustainable in the long run, government partnership is not an option. If anything, I think today the government and us have a very healthy respect and relationship for each other, because over the years, we've worked very closely to do various activities ranging from building a curriculum, a framework for the curriculum in the space of intellectual disability, to doing awareness programs through their Badhte Kadam programs, etc. I can go on, but I think I should stop. It's all yours.
Yeah, great, thank you. Ashok, please.
Yeah. About our organization?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey, and we also heard on the video a little bit, so your personal perspective and how you've approached.
I'm from Bhansali Trust. It's a family foundation. And my eldest brother started this. And it's funded by family mainly, except our big camp in Bihar, where we do some 40,000 cataract surgeries, where there are some friends who are funding for that camp. How it started, see, we come from a poor family, a family of 7 brothers, 3 sisters. And I'm the youngest one of 10. My eldest brother, he came to Bombay to earn something. Father was earning 300-400 rupees. And the first income he made, 100 rupees, he was responsible for all brothers, and he decided that minimum 20% I will give to the less fortunate, will go to the less fortunate from the first income at the age of 16. This is how it started 65 years back. And another brother joined business. He completed his engineering from VJTI Bombay, BE Electrical Mechanical, and he decided that he won't marry and give his full life for the social work. So this is how it started. I'm a part-time worker for that. But they are not there, so I have to, they are mainly responsible for this. And then we started with small work, but gradually we started giving more from the family and in various projects, starting from medical, educational, and in collaboration with government, many projects we took up. that was a good experience. Come to that later on. And this year we'll complete 50 years next year of the official formation of the trust. And there is another trust, but
No, continue. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tell us
there's
more
another
about,
trust
yeah.
formed by some friends for the tribal work, just for the tribal work in India, and that is called TIDE, T-I-D-E, Tribal Integrated Development and Education Trust. And all the friends donate equally, and I have to look up the projects. Started in a small way, but now we have projects in 17 states in the field of health, education, and other things. Microcredit is the main thrust.
Tell us a little bit more. How have you collaborated with the government? Have you brought in how have you convinced other folks to be a part of it? Do you work directly in the ground or with NGOs? Give us a sense of how you're working on the ground.
Me?
Yeah.
See, we always think that not compromising our principles, it's good to work with government, but not at cost of our principles, compromising principles. So whenever it's possible, we carry out projects in partnership with government. Government has given us 1,260 Anganwadis, that is kindergarten. And through that, we could achieve many, many things, like immunization. We wiped out epidemics. We could bring down infant mortality. We could bring down maternal deaths. And we could bring up education. We eradicated childhood blindness in a population of 800,000. But collaboration like this, that the immunization, we get vaccines from the government, we provide the vaccinators, like this. But wherever there was problem, we discontinued with them. But with Gujarat government, our projects are mainly in Gujarat. It was much easier.
Great, thank you. Please, Vineet.
So let me just start by giving a little context on where all of us were coming from. So India today has the largest higher education infrastructure in the world with over 700 universities, about 37,000 colleges. We actually have the largest infrastructure. In terms of enrollment in higher education, we are only next to China. We have about 30 million students in colleges. But we have a very young population. Our young population is growing almost at 13% versus the world average of 4%. And still we are sending just about 1 out of 4 students to college. China is sending 1 out of 3. US is almost at a 90%. Most of Europe is 60%. So even if India has to go to about 40%, where 2 out of 5 of our students are going to college, we almost need to double our higher education infrastructure. So that's a huge effort. And this we need to do in the next 10 years. So the Indian higher education challenge is enormous. But more than access, more than just numbers, I think the numbers problem we are still solving. About 60% of our higher education is in the private sector now. A bigger challenge is of quality. We really do not rank anywhere when it comes to the quality of our higher education institutions. We have 2 universities in top 200 when you pick up any rankings. You pick up BRICS rankings, we just have 20 out of 200, 10%. We probably the second most populous country in BRICS. Our citation record is half the world average. 40% vacancies across our universities. So I think the higher education challenge is enormous. So when some of us met in 2006, we were a group of about 8 people. Some of these frustrations used to come out in lunchroom, dinner conversations, and really starting from what can we do to change Indian higher education. And Ashoka University as an idea was born out of those conversations. And any collaborative effort takes a long time, so it's taken us 10 years from 2006 to where we are. That group of 8 people became 20 by 2010-11, and I'm very happy to share that today we are over 95 founders who've who've made significant contributions to make Ashoka happen. Archana and Amit are co-founders at Ashoka. Puneet, you just heard. And I don't know anybody else maybe there in the audience who's also made a significant contribution to Ashoka. So it's been a hugely collaborative effort. not only in fundraising, where now about 25% of our funds come through philanthropy, through CSR, and 75% comes through individuals, but also in a lot of other ways. Ashoka has been very distinctive in the way it has been set up, distinctive in its curriculum, distinctive in the quality of faculty that we hired, distinctive in the centers of excellence that we created. And each of these pieces is a story of collaboration. And I just want to pick up one or two due to the time we have. In our centers of excellence, for example, we've partnered with a lot of corporates who individually want to champion projects. So on promoting women's leadership, we partnered with Genpact, and they funded a center for women's leadership. We've created a center for political data analysis that has been funded by gentleman Ashok Trivedi, who was a founder of iGate. And the idea of that center really is to collate data around Indian elections right from 1948 to now. We're the first university who was studying elections in an academic sense. We've become the single largest repository of election data for all elections, state elections, parliament elections, and we distribute this data free of cost to political parties, to journalists. We've collaborated with the government, and we run a very, very unique project there, which is called, with the Haryana government, and which is called the Chief Minister's Good Governance Associates. I don't know if some of you have heard about it. In this project, we've actually put 25 postgraduate students in each district of Haryana. And each of these students is full-time and reports directly into the Chief Minister. And the kind of huge transformation these students are bringing about in governance in Haryana is quite outstanding. We've collaborated with institutions around the world. This has helped us get some of the best faculty. We've collaborated with the government in other ways to develop the Rajiv Gandhi Education City, where we are located. And you heard Puneet speak, and any of our founders, I think they will all reiterate the same thing. I think in the context of Ashoka, and to take your words, I don't think collaboration is an enzyme, it's almost a necessity. I don't think we could have created Ashoka without collaboration, with a collaboration in philanthropy, recruitment of faculty, creating centers of excellence. And eventually, for all of us, the idea of setting up Ashoka has not been about just setting up one institution. We believe that the model of collective philanthropy, where a lot of people come together, is perhaps the only model where you can bring in excellence in higher education. I think this could be a model how India can create many outstanding universities. And we eventually believe that Ashoka is not about creating just one Ashoka university, but perhaps 100 universities.
Can I add to a point, Vineet? So 2 years ago, I went to do a course at the Harvard Business School called the SPINIM course, which is called Strategic Perspectives in the Not-for-Profit Space. Deval was with me, and I think the two of us were completely blown away with not just the way they taught it, but the content and the way they taught us to think about out-of-the-box solutions in the not-for-profit space. So we've been having multiple conversations with HBS, Dasra, as well as Ashoka University, and I think this is the first time ever that HBS is moving out of their Boston campus and launching the SPINIM program at the Ashoka University this year in 2017. So I think that's another great example of collaboration in terms of faculty and courses that one can offer.
Can we, so you all make it sound very rosy and very easy, and everybody's all happy, joy, joy to be collaborating. Can we, give us some realistic perspective on the challenges? I mean, it can't possibly all be so perfect. And so give us a sense, what are some challenges that you've seen in the work that you've been doing, in the collaborations that you have, specifically around drawing, whether it's drawing other partners, whether it's funding or people, like you mentioned, Archana, earlier. Give us a bit more insight.
The challenges we face. See, the challenges with government is sometimes some of the officers ask for money that we don't give them. And at any cost we don't give. That means we leave the project, but we don't give them. Then sometimes they force us to give wrong figures. Like say in immunization, when we took up immunization, government was doing 30%, but 30% coverage, but they were showing 100%. When we achieved 90%, they forced us to write 100%. And we refused to do this. And sometimes the grant comes late, but that is not a problem. We have our own funds and we can do without that. Otherwise, with government, there is no much problem. The big camp in Bihar, the government, the challenge, the government support is that they don't create problems for us. That is the support. Otherwise, we don't expect much from that government. And with individual donors, when we do some funding to small NGOs, we get funds from some projects also. Some of the challenges is what name should be kept. And as a policy, we have decided that our name won't be there. So the problem gets solved easily. Then it's some difficult area. We are working as a policy, we select the most difficult and neglected area. So at present, we are working in area in Jharkhand, where there is a presence of terror groups, various terror groups, in Assam, in Bihar, in Orissa. It's very difficult area, so there, without joining hands with local NGOs, we cannot work. So we have to identify some good NGOs. That's a big challenge, to identify good NGOs, because in India there are many NGOs, and I don't know if you know, but per 600 population there is one NGO in India. And so we have to be very careful there. I personally travel. I travel 12 days a month to various states. And after checking few things, we start working in a small way. But see, the result is that in Jharkhand, in the most difficult area, we have 3,000 self-help groups. In Assam, we have 7,000 self-help groups. Means 100,000 families. They were in debt, they have come out of it. Another, say, we sponsor students in Northeast. We sponsor some 1,800 students in Northeast and 1,500 in Rajasthan with other NGOs. That we have to work with other NGOs. The project is going so well that we are expanding it now. And without this, when you say 2 plus 2 is 22, which, say, when you are working in the field of mental health, the 2 is the funding, say, and 1 is doing the work of mental health. Without joining hands, the 2 of there is also useless and our 2 is useless. That is not even 4. Because they can't do without funds, and we can't do just with the money. Money is the least important thing for these projects. So we have joined hands in Kerala with 3 NGOs who are doing very good work in mental health in a very good way. And now we are expanding to other states.
Thank you. Thank you, yes. Vineet, let's hear some challenges.
So I think I totally agree with Ashok when he says that the one thing you want from the government is that they keep away. Now, being a university, we are also, private universities in India are heavily regulated. So a key challenge for us early on has been regulation. And just getting a private university approved. Private universities in India has also been a new idea. Earlier the private universities used to get approved through UGC, and then there was a big mess in this 2005 to 8 period. Then some states started having private university acts, and we are approved as a Haryana Act. So that's been a big challenge. We had some very early challenges on land acquisition. Our initial fundraising was a big challenge. And from 2006 to 2014, I think we grew from about 8 people to 20 people who were contributing. And from 2014 to now, in 2.5 years, we've grown from 20 to 95. And the point I'm trying to emphasize is that in a cause like ours, when you're trying to create a great institution, I mean, you're almost going to a donor and saying, look, we want to create the next Yale or Harvard in India. But you're a 3-year-old institution. Some of those institutions took 300 years, 350 years to get where they are. So how do you demonstrate that you are outstanding and excellent on day one? In the first year, or in 2 years, or in 3 years, how do you convince a potential donor that, look, you will get there? And you are probably as good as any other top university. So you have to execute extremely well. I mean, everything that you do has to be outstanding. And that's a huge challenge. So fundraising, I think in the initial years was a huge challenge. Now you can almost look back and say, look, you have 92 founders and we've done a great job in fundraising, but it was extremely, extremely difficult in the beginning years. Recruiting faculty of the quality we have was extremely difficult, but because again, the same challenge. Why would outstanding faculty bet on a new institution and come here? Some of them left tenured positions in top US universities and came back. And another big challenge, we pretty much brought liberal arts into focus in India. India as a country has been obsessed with professional education, where most of our students want to go for engineering, medicine. Liberal arts in that sense was a radical idea. We went to 500 schools and met about 20,000 students one-on-one when we had to recruit our first class. And we had to have one-on-one conversations. Most of us as founders were involved. Our teams were involved. So I think huge challenges in pretty much every aspect of execution.
Oh God, I think our very existence was challenged at every point, right? Because like I started and I said, 2% of our population is mentally challenged. But I think a lot of us go through life knowing that this is there, but it doesn't really get onto our radar. It is not something that we are actively reaching out to support unless we've been affected personally in our own lives. So for us, the challenge was really, how do we get onto anybody's radar? How do we even get onto anybody's map? The funding and all of that is really secondary. And I have to say, a collaboration of this sort, where Dasra is giving us the platform to even talk about a cause that, like I said, is not something that comes to people naturally, is, in my opinion, a huge benefit of collaboration. We've had challenges pretty much every step of the way. I know in my earlier statement I made it sound like it was also easy, but trust me, it is challenging, right? When the CSR funding, which today is 37%, when the CSR bill came through, I think I was probably the most excited, because I was like, yay, somebody's going to look at us now, right? Mm-hmm. And when I went to some of the companies, and no fault of theirs, we would start with, I'm a 72-year NGO, I do blah, 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 blah. And at some point, I knew I'd lost them. And true enough, they would turn around and say, great cause, great bunch of people, but, I'm sorry, but we don't support intellectual disability. It is not one of the portfolios that we, as a company, have chosen to support. So that's actually what forced us to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to tell our story. So when I said our 4 areas of competency are healthcare, education, skill development, and a few support services, those words I actually got from my meetings at the CSR meetings, right? And you have to turn every opportunity, I know I sound so cliched, into something that works for you, right? So today because I used to say that to them. When they said we support only education or only healthcare, I was like, we are in the same space. We are just at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So we had to go back and learn how to tell our story so it could resonate with you. The trick there is figuring it out and making it your strength.
I'm going to open it up for questions from the audience, please. You can ask anyone on our panel. Yes, back there. No.
Hi, Soumitra here from Redspan. The question is, and when we were doing the study with the NGOs, we asked them about collaboration, and one of the NGO leaders told me, why don't you ask the questions to philanthropists and funders? And so here's the question. As you have collaborated well, what are the 2 or 3 mindset shifts that you made which helped you collaborate with each other?
So, should I take that? So one of them is this, right? So what the donors wanted to hear was actually something that I was providing, but I was just telling the story in different English. So the first thing is you have to be very clear about how do you tell your story, right? And you have to tell it the way the donor understands it. To hell with what you think you're doing. The second very important one is, all these people that we got to collaborate at Vakeel in the form of volunteers, I think it is because we created a platform where like-minded, passionate people could come together, work for a cause, but in that journey, have a lot of fun. This collaboration, I cannot benefit you or pay you monetarily. So there's got to be some connect with you, which is why you keep coming back. So there's got to be an element of fun. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to retain that kind of caliber over a longer period of time. At Vakeel, I cannot pay you even what the market pays you. So I'm quite cognizant of those challenges.
Ashok, any mindset change that you had to change in terms of your approach or to help the collaboration or the work?
Actually, I don't think we have to do something now. I can't follow the question completely.
So we're asking, maybe when you started doing your work, you were all kind of on this certain path, but then you realize, actually, let's change how we're doing something. And maybe you believed that you had to do something one way, but after listening to the community or listening to NGOs, you might take that feedback and change how you approach things.
Yeah. That's very, very important, and we have to do it in many, many cases. It's like working with Musars. Musar is a community, rat eaters community. And so difficult to work there, but we started working there. And the ground reality, ground situation is so different that we had to change our thinking and then our way of working. And after some time, we started working in a proper way.
And they were comfortable telling you?
Yeah, they told us that we don't want this, we want this. This is our priority. This is this.
Nice. Yeah, Vineet.
Well, I think the one big mindset change, and I'll borrow from what Puneet said in the video, is really letting go and letting go of control. I can say for myself that you truly start valuing opinions which are very, very contrary to your own. And you have to sometimes stay with those opinions and actually execute on those opinions. And then there's opinions of individuals, but then there is also opinions of groups. So the founders may feel one way, but the faculty may feel one way, and the students may feel one way. I think so navigating all of those opinions, you actually have to sometimes, and a lot of times, take a back seat and, really be comfortable with that. It's a tough thing to do, but really give up control, as Puneet said, and learn to live with the view that is emerging.
Yes, go ahead, Anu.
My question to you is, with 92 donors, who decides the shape and the culture of the university?
I think that's a brilliant question, ma'am. And
Her question was, in case you didn't hear, how on earth do you manage all of these funders and who actually is leading it?
so I think that's where some of our corporate background helped. So we have created a board of trustees out of the 92 donors. That board of trustees has 27 people on the board right now, but it can go up to 50. That board of trustees meets every quarter religiously, and it's a long meeting. There are detailed debriefings, so everybody feels they have a voice. Some of those then founders are not the only people shaping the culture of the university. There's also faculty, there's also students, which are all very, very key parts of decision making. Then we have other governance structures. We have a governing body of the university where founders and faculty are equally represented. We have a board of management where there is also student representation. So we've created these governance structures with representation across founders, faculty, students. And then together, these governing structure or governing bodies are able to shape policies, shape the culture of the university. I hope I've been able to answer that.
Can I add
Yes,
to that?
please.
So Anu, apart from what we've done at Ashoka and kind of broken it down systematically the way Vineet just explained, I also wanted to share, I think going forward, this collaborative philanthropy, if you may, is also becoming a very, very powerful way of giving, because no one individual is able to create institutes like Ashoka. And the other classic case in point right now would be the SRCC Children's Hospital. It's the largest pediatric hospital that is coming up in the country. It's 200 beds, a total cost of 150 crores, of which 50 crores worth of equipment is coming from Narayan Hridalaya itself, which is a company, and the rest 100 crores has actually come from donors. It's about 15 families that have come together, and again, the governance over there is broken up very systematically the way Vineet just articulated. And I think the true magic in collaborations of this sort is that if it wasn't for those 15 or those 92 people, organizations of this magnitude and scale and excellence would be a little hard to create.
Thank you. Some closing thoughts, some advice for philanthropists in the group. What piece of advice would you give them so that they can think about collaboration in their own work? Ashok Bhai, let's start with advice from you.
See, today there is a lot of social work is going on, but many areas are left behind and totally neglected. And the reason is that these areas are very, very difficult to work with. When I started working with Musars, the local collector called me and he said that you don't do this, you will never succeed in this. So difficult. Many have tried this. But the Maoist area means where there are terror groups, like in most of the part in Northeast, in Jharkhand, most of the districts, 80% of the district have terror groups. So no NGOs are working there. Very few NGOs are working there. Then the government staff is vacant in most of the places because being the difficult area. It is called a punishment posting. The bad officer, medical officer is posted there who doesn't work in such area as a punishment. So such areas should be concentrated. Our focus is on that. I was there, say, day before yesterday, I was in such area. And we can see that the schools are vacant. There are no schools at many places. No other facilities, medical facilities is not there. And there is no government is there, such areas. But no one is concentrating on that. So I wish that few of the philanthropists come forward to assist and work in such projects.
Great, thank you. Vineet.
Well, I would only like to say that, collaboration in philanthropy is going to be difficult and it will take time. But I think it's the most empowering thing that you can do. To think about a project and then see it unfold through such collaboration, I think is extremely empowering. It's far more empowering, that at least I can say for myself, than anything else that I may have done in my entrepreneurial career. So I think it's worth it, and it's far more empowering, and everybody should take a shot. I feel very, very blessed that I got this opportunity.
I think collaboration is not a choice. Each one of us needs to think of what is our core competency, what am I good at, and do just that. For everything else, just partner with other people who are leaders in their respective fields, because that's the only way you can get the multiplier effect.
Great, so thank you very much. On that note, collaboration is a necessity, and the problems are so big that if we don't collaborate, we're never going to be able to transform India. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.